Hey, I'm Eric. I'm 22 now, but this story happened 3 years ago, back when I was just a 19-year-old kid, young and reckless, thinking I had life all figured out. I was a sports coach then, working with kids, showing them the ropes in my local gym. Coaching kids was everything to me, watching them learn, grow, and love the game. It felt like I was making a difference, and for a while, I thought I was living my best life. But, I had this one little passion, you could call it, or maybe an obsession. I loved gambling, roulette, slot machines, you name it. There was something about that rush, the thrill, the hope that the next spin could be the one. One night, I hit big, won around $2,000. For a kid like me, coming from a tough neighborhood where cash was tight, 2 grand felt like hitting the jackpot. I bought myself a new phone, some headphones, even got a few gifts for my buddies. It was incredible. I felt like I was on top of the world. Everything was going great, or at least I thought it was. I'd take my team to competitions, feeling proud of how I was growing as a coach, and all the while, I kept hitting the gym, keeping myself in shape. No drinking, no smoking, no drugs. I kept myself clean, even though most of my friends weren't exactly sticking to that lifestyle. But that thrill for gambling? It didn't go away. Every paycheck, I'd set aside a chunk of it just to throw at the slots. I kept telling myself that one day, I'd get that big win again. I ignored the fact that most of the time, I was losing. I just kept waiting for that one lucky moment. Every summer, the gym took the kids on a training trip out of the country. It was like a mini vacation mixed with hard work. We have about 300 kids on these trips, and it was a big deal for us coaches, too. My group was around 50 kids, and each of them had to hand their trip money over to their coach, meaning me, before we passed it along to the gym's office for the bookings. So here's where everything went wrong. So, I had this envelope stuffed with cash, 5,000 euros, just sitting there. I'd never held that much money in my life, and the feeling was electric, almost unreal. My paycheck was coming the next day, and the gym wasn't expecting this cash until the following week. The plan seemed simple in my mind. I'd borrow a couple hundred from the envelope, just for a little spin at the casino. Worst case? I'd lose it and just cover it with part of my paycheck the next day, and no one would ever know. I remember sitting there, holding that envelope, telling myself it'd just be a little taste. I started with 200 euros, figuring I'd play it safe, keep it short. And at first, I actually started winning. Those 200 turned into 450 euros in just a few spins, and that rush, that incredible, heart-pounding high, took over. I felt like I was on the edge of something big. But here's the thing about addiction, it makes you believe in miracles. I started thinking, what if I went all in? What if, just this once, I used the whole 5,000 and flipped it to 10,000, I told myself I'd pay back the gym, keep the profit, and be set for months. I could buy more than a few gadgets, maybe even take a little trip. The possibilities seemed endless. So, I did it. I transferred the whole 5,000 euros into my gambling account. Just seeing that balance lit me up like nothing else. I didn't even think about the risk, I just dove right in, certain I'd make it all back and then some. I barely remember the hours that followed. It's like they blurred together, my focus pinned on that spinning wheel, those flashing slots. I was on fire, or so I thought, right up until the wind stopped coming. I tried everything, every game, every strategy one could think of, but by the time the sun came up, I was down to my last 200 euros. 5,000 euros, gone. Just like that. Panic set in, crawling up my spine like ice. My hands were shaking, and I could barely catch my breath. I'd lost it all. My one plan, my one excuse for taking the money in the first place, was crumbling around me. I spent that whole day sick with worry, barely able to think straight. I knew I'd messed up, but in my head, I still thought, maybe I can find a way out of this. That's when I came up with the lie. I'd say that the envelope got stolen, tell them it happened on the bus or something, that a pickpocket grabbed it without me noticing. It wasn't a good plan, but I was desperate, and I didn't see any other way. The next day, I went to the gym, barely holding it together. When they asked for the money, I tried to keep my voice steady, told them about this so-called theft in the most convincing tone I could manage. But I didn't get the reaction I was expecting. They didn't explode, didn't yell or call the cops. Instead, they just looked at me, almost sad. Turns out, my gambling habit wasn't as much of a secret as I thought. They knew. They'd noticed me disappearing after work, the subtle hints I'd left here and there about lucky days and big wins. One of the senior coaches put a hand on my shoulder, gave me this knowing look, and asked, "Eric, are you sure that's what happened?" I couldn't hold up the lie any longer. It was like all the walls I'd built up around me just collapsed in that moment. I admitted everything, the gambling, the money, all of it. I felt like I was peeling away every layer of pride and leaving myself completely exposed, vulnerable, in front of the people I respected the most. But here's the part that shocked me: they didn't yell, didn't berate me. They just listened, their disappointment weighing heavier than any anger could have. I'd let them down in the worst possible way, but they treated me like family, like someone who'd made a terrible mistake but still deserved a second chance. They gave me an option. I could work to pay back the money and keep my job, or I could walk away, leaving this part of my life behind. I don't know if they realized it, but that kindness cut deeper than any punishment would have. In that moment, I knew I didn't deserve to stay. I was supposed to be their role model, someone those kids looked up to. I couldn't be that guy anymore, not after what I'd done. So, I left the gym that day, my chest heavy with regret. I couldn't just let it end there, though. I promised myself I'd make it right, even if it took years. I picked up whatever work I could find: construction, deliveries, night shifts, anything that would let me save a bit. I didn't go out, didn't spend a dime on myself. Every penny I earned went toward paying back that debt. After a year, I'd saved up enough. I walked back into the gym, handed them the 5,000 euros, and apologized one last time. I didn't expect forgiveness, and I definitely didn't expect them to welcome me back. I'd already decided I wouldn't go back to coaching. I couldn't face those kids, knowing what I'd done. It's been 3 years since that day, and I still think about it all the time. I don't gamble anymore, not a single game. It cost me the only thing I truly loved, and I'm never going back to that life. Now I'm sharing this story here, hoping that maybe someone else can learn from my mistakes before it's too late. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment to click that button. I put a lot of effort into searching through Reddit so you can enjoy the stories I've found just for you. You already know what to do. See you in the next video, ****.